Yes, we are back. It took a while, but we are back to talk a little bit more about game collecting. Last time I asked the question, what really is a collector's edition? And answered it with my view on the bare basics of the game collecting hobby, explained how I see and use the collecting hobby terminology, and the difference between mine and the industry's usage. What I also stated in that video was that it might not have been the most interesting element of the hobby, but that it just had to be done as we need such a foundation for the more specific, interesting and fun topics that the collecting hobby has. But now that foundation is there, let's start building on top of it with probably my favorite element of game collecting: Steelcases. I really love Steelcases. They are so simple, yet can be so freaking cool. And I want to talk about, discuss and show them in this video. There is a lot to talk about and discuss, and of course criticize on what, how and why the industry treats Steelcases like trash and only scratch the surface of its potential, but I won't do that today. Or, well, I will, but to a very bare minimum. Today's video is just to highlight the element I love the most about game collecting and why. Let's just make it a tradition and start off this video with another question. Where did my love for Steelcases start? Was it love at first sight with the first Steelcase I bought? Well, no, not at all. The first one I bought is actually not that special, and it's a quite disappointing story, to be honest. As far as I can remember, the first Steelcase I bought was this one, the Mass Effect 3 Collector's Edition Steelcase. Why? Well, definitely not because of its looks, cause let's be honest, visually this one is just terrible. It's just terrible. I only bought this Steelcase because I needed another game to fulfill a discount coupon, and there was no other used game available that I wanted, so yeah. I didn't thought much about Steelcases and more or less considered this Steelcase as a replacement for my normal copy of Mass Effect 3 than an actual collectible. This mindset of replacing normal copies with Steelcases did lead me to buy more of them. I mean, visually they look nicer on the shelf than normal cases. But those Steelcases also didn't do it for me and were, just like with the Mass Effect 3 Steelcase, a simple way to fill open slots for discounts. But then came the fateful encounter, the one that changed it all, the Nier Automata Limited Edition Steelcase. Not only is Nier Automata a phenomenal game, but its Steelcase is just as much on par with it. And I remember very vividly how I ran into it. I just had visited a friend and I decided to go by the local game shop for a quick peek on my way home. For a while I was actually looking for a used copy of Nier Automata and well, they had one. Just one. This one. I was a bit iffy about the price at the time as I play games on a budget, but obviously in the end I still end up buying it and well, the rest is history. Now I have two quick things to say to the person that decided to return this game to the store so I could buy it used. One, thank you very much. This Steelcase is amazing. I absolutely love it and it's the reason why my obsession with game collecting started, so thank you very much. The second thing is, however, the fuck is wrong with you? You brought this piece, this beautiful piece of artwork back to the store for what exactly? Some measly store credit? I mean, I'm not complaining because it gave me the chance to buy it, but again, what the fuck is wrong with you? Anyway, after this fateful encounter, the amount of games collected increased exponentially, but especially Steelcases. As of writing this script, the counter of Steelcases I own is above 50. Some would say that is a high number, but personally, I don't consider that number to be that high. It's not a fake way to sound modest or anything. I think it's not high because I know how many Steelcases are out there, and I know what my collection could have been if I didn't stop myself from just buying most of them. Cause while I love Steelcases, I don't blindly buy and collect them. I mean, I do wish I could be like...
Oh my god, beautiful! Please drain me! Please take everything I have! Oh!
But I just don't have the luxury to throw money around like that. Also, I don't like the mindless attitude of collecting that some collectors have. I want a reason or a connection to something before I add it to my collection. This obviously makes my collection rather personal, but also very broad, as my reasons, connections, and overall taste for games is just all over the place. Like, I love to collect Steelcases with amazing artwork on it, as it is for me the embodiment of the artistic side of gaming. But I also like to buy Steelcases of games I have a platinum trophy in. Granted, I'm not really an achievement hunter, therefore there are not that many Steelcases I want to collect. Because I just couldn't care less about my achievement count. But it does feel more as a completed achievement to me when I have a set of a platinum trophy and a Steelcase than just the trophy. Maybe it's a bit of a coincidence, but all my platinum Steelcases are of open world games. And what is not a coincidence, but just irony, is that the looks of many of these Steelcases embody the platinum experience on point. These Steelcases are very, very low on my priority list, just like platinum trophies. I mostly buy them when I bump into them online or at a convention for a fair price, and I recently obtained a new platinum trophy. Steelcases that I hunt more actively are Steelcase sets. This can be series sets or game sets. Series sets are self-explanatory. They are Steelcases in a game series and you have to basically buy all of them to complete the set. Game sets are a bit more tricky. Some games have multiple Steelcases and if you want to collect the complete set, you gotta hunt all of them. I say hunt because these cases are usually a little bit harder to obtain than series sets, because these Steelcases can be region, store-specific pre-order, collector's edition and even platform exclusives. Take Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance as an example. That game has multiple Steelcases and I managed to collect 2 of them, but one is for the Xbox 360 and the other for the PlayStation 3. Also, one is freaking amazing and the other one is... it's alright, it's overall decent. Yeah, I have a clear favorite here. I have a similar situation with Final Fantasy 15. The special, deluxe and collector's edition came with a different Steelcase as well. And while I'm missing only one to complete the set, I definitely have my favorite already. A game where I might not have this situation would be Persona 5. That game has multiple Steelcases, but each one looks amazing, and together they form a nice looking, consistent set. Which, if you ask me as a collector, that is the dream. But knowing how many there are out there and how little my connection is to Persona 5, I withheld myself every single time from this dream, and I skip on buying any of them or even the complete set. For now. Overall, I really love game sets. They are more rare than series sets, and when you find one of these Steelcases in the wild, it is exciting. But I wish they would design their Steelcases more as a set, as that would make them more collectible and increase their value as a set. You would think that series sets would do this more often or even better, but that is far from the truth. It's almost just as rare for series sets to create a cohesive set of Steelcases. But there is one series set that does it, and it does it really well, and therefore it's one of my absolute favorites. Whenever I think of series sets, the Tales of series instantly comes to mind. Each Tales of game has its mascot, and for most Steelcases they use that mascot as its cover art, which as a standalone Steelcase can be considered to be on the weaker side of things, as it uses a very minimalistic style to portray each mascot. But when you put them together with the others, it forms a great looking set. I am trying to complete the set for a while, and to me it feels like a game of quartets on crack, as it's not only hard to find these Steelcases, but they are expensive. Expensive as hell, but despite that, it is very impressive that for so long this series has been very consistent with this Steelcase style. But it also serves as a grim reminder that unfortunately other series barely do not adopt this or a similar style for the Steelcases, let alone create a cohesive set. When there are multiple Steelcases in a game series, most of the time they feel very disconnected from one another. Take again Final Fantasy as an example. The whole series has no consistent theme for their Steelcases, which, fair to a degree. There are 16 main titles and countless of side and spin-off games, which go from today all the way back to the time where there were no Steelcases. But take Final Fantasy XIII for example. That is a trilogy inside of the Final Fantasy series and it has Steelcases, but they don't form a complete set. The designs are kinda similar to each other, but still feel rather disconnected from each other and the games itself. I mean, lining is more on the Steelcase cover for Final Fantasy XIII 2 than actually in the game. The first game doesn't even have an official Steelcase, and there is a size difference between the two Steelcases that are there. Which is not a huge problem, but it does take away the visual effect of the set quite a lot. Though sometimes the weird size variations between Steelcases can also make them very likable in my opinion. If you ask me, you should collect Mass Effect 1 and Halo 3 Steelcase, as they both are weird. I call them the lunchbox Steelcase. They are basically the thickness of 2 to 3 cases and are big enough to, well, hold your lunch. Man, I would have done anything for a Mass Effect lunchbox when I was a kid. Oh well, there are still some other weird Steelcases like the Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriot Steelcase. It's huge. It's not from the original game. I mean, I suspect it is a press kit or a giveaway thingy, as it does not contain any game, but has the goodies for such a thing. Whatever it might be, this Steelcase is of actual high quality. Yeah, its size is a big plus already, but it has this beautiful artwork by Joji Shinkawa, and the print itself has a very nice texture. Though concept art on a Steelcase is probably my greatest weakness, because it just looks so cool and I wish more Steelcases had that. But that is just a humble collector's wish, as of course I want Steelcases to be better and to my liking. But as a collector, you also must accept and not expect that all the objects you collect will be high in its quality. Basically, just like with games, not every Steelcase will be on par with your favorites. I mean, it would be great, but honestly, they don't have to be like that. What makes Steelcases so interesting and fun to collect is their diversity. Be it by the cases themselves or the reasons and connections we have with the games they belong to. Steelcases are also the perfect place to start collecting games if you ask me, as they are a much lower entry level than, for example, collector's editions are. Plus, they add a lot of character to your collection as well, which collector's editions not always do. And that character is what completes my love for Steelcases and why I hoard so many of them. Today I stayed close to the overall fun of Steelcases and how it more or less started, but originally I wanted to go in depth about each Steelcase in my collection. But that are 50 plus Steelcases, which is not a lot in collector's terms, but for a video like that is just too much. Or is it? For now, I want to thank you very much for watching. Do you have a favorite Steelcase as well, or a set that you absolutely love? Let me know down below, and I hope to see you next time when I talk more about game collecting.